Hey, I'm Shaye Wanner, and you are listening to the Casual Cattle Conversations podcast. Whether you are a seasoned rancher or just curious about the cattle world, this podcast dives into the stories, science, and strategies shaping the future of ranching. Let's get started and keep your herd ahead of the herd. Folks, today we are visiting with Todd Stegall and Callie Barber about getting local beef into school lunch programs. Todd shares his perspective as a rancher, and Callie shares her perspective from the school. It's really a inspirational and informational story, especially for those of you who are already selling beef directly to consumers and maybe want to get to a different level or get involved in some of those local food for school lunch programs. So either way, I think you'll really enjoy the conversation, and let's visit with Todd and Callie. Folks, are you ready for more conversations to push your ranch to the next level and keep you thinking about how you can improve as a ranch manager? If you're thinking, heck yeah, then you need to join my free Facebook group, Rising Ranchers, where you can connect and learn from other ranchers and experts, as well as access additional ranching resources. You can find the direct link in the show notes. Well, Todd and Callie, it is a pleasure to have you on the podcast today and to talk about getting local beef into school lunch programs. I'm really excited to have both of you on here, Todd as the rancher and Callie as the representative from the school system. So to get started, the hard-hitting question that maybe my guests don't always like, but I sure enjoy asking is, why do you bet on the beef industry? So briefly, I'd like to hear both of your answers to that. Todd, we will start with you.
Well, I've been thinking about this one a little bit, and on my side of things, it's like you gotta love raising the cattle. You gotta like the animal husbandry part of it, and I really enjoy that. I like the process of mating, making AI matings, seeing the calf born, watching it grow into hopefully a bull for our seed stock program. If not, it'll be a animal that goes into our beef program, which we love to see the genetics on that side of it as well. So just the whole thing and raising the animal. And then on the beef side of things, it's probably the premier protein in our industry, and I just enjoy raising quality beef as well.
Absolutely. And Callie, what about your perspective? Why do you bet on the beef industry?
On my end, for our students to have local products, really trying to bring that into our system and sourcing locally. We're supporting the local economy and teaching our students food origins and just being really transparent with our food. We try to keep things local, and it's amazing to have the Stegalls and having their children in the school system as well. I know they're pretty proud of that.
And Callie, do you want to explain, what is your role in the school system?
Yes, yeah, I am the school's director for the food program. So we have 3 schools, and they're K through 12th grade. And I just oversee the whole process from procurement to the nutrition standards, the budgeting, working with vendors, and making sure that we serve safe, high-quality meals to our students.
All right. And so, Todd, do you want to share with the listeners, where is your ranch located, just so they kind of have an idea of where we're talking from?
Yeah, we're up in Colusa, California, which is about an hour north of Sacramento. We run on some irrigated pasture around there, and I lease some other places up a little further north up in Orland. So that's where we run the cows pretty locally. And we've got a little feedlot backgrounding operation as well. So.
All right. And Callie and I were talking earlier, and that's a pretty rural area of California. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's not what people envision when they think of California, that's for sure.
So, Todd, I'm curious, why did you and your family decide that you wanted to start getting your beef into local school systems? What kind of spurred that for you?
Well, we've always, sold the halves and wholes locally like a lot of people do, but we started doing USDA inspection on that so we could sell it individually packaged cuts to the community, and we've been doing that for a couple of years, and we just heard that the school was doing a program for local food for schools, so we put in a bid for it and were able to get it. So kind of fell into our laps. We were just in the right position at the right time, mostly.
And Callie, from your perspective, tell us a little bit more about what that looked like on your end as far as getting local food, specifically beef, into that lunch program for kids.
Yeah, we wanted to just everything local. I did reach out like for other meat as well, but the beef is the only thing that we've really had coming in for bids, and just want to keep it local with the Stegalls and yeah, just going out bidding, and I don't know.
So outside of, Todd, you mentioned you were getting that USDA inspection done so that you could sell individual cuts, and obviously that opened the door to the school system as well. What other steps need to happen in this process? I'm just thinking about what do other ranchers need to be aware of if that's something that they want to try and be a part of. And maybe Callie, will start with you, and Todd, if you have more you want to add after that.
Yeah, so the initial stages involved local ranchers and looking at their nutrition standards and safety standards and learning their practices and ensuring that everything fits the USDA standards and guidelines.
Okay. And Todd, do you have anything you want to add there?
I mean, for us, I think Callie does a lot of the work to get the meat into the school as far as that local food for schools program. I think if somebody else is looking to do that, they probably would have to work with their school. What's your title exactly, Callie?
Yeah, the nutrition director, yeah.
I think she's doing most of the legwork on that stuff, and we just kind of were fortunate that we had the product that fit what they needed. So.
And Todd, have you had, I know Callie mentioned that your kids are in the school system, but have you had the opportunity to go show up to any classrooms or meet these kids? Have there been any interactions like that? I'm curious what the kids' kind of reaction to it is.
Not so much like when they're eating their school lunch or whatever, but I'm at the school plenty because of the kids and stuff. So we also get the calendar for the lunches, and when our beef's on the calendar, we have our little logo on there. So that's pretty cool to see.
That's really fun. So, Todd, I'm assuming, you're raising and feeding out this beef and you're taking it to the processor. Is it then a local processor that's able to do this?
Yeah, the processor I take them to is about 10 miles down the road from me, and I have a really good relationship with them as well. They do an excellent job. So
then is that on the school to pick up that beef after it's processed, or is that something you deliver? What does that look like?
Yeah, I pick it up and deliver it, and they kind of want their packages a little bigger than what a normal retail package would be, so I kind of have to have that specified beforehand. It all works out good. I just pick up everything and take whatever the school needs to them, and then I put my stuff in my storage, so it works pretty good.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot.
So what would you say some of the initial challenges of establishing this relationship and getting this process going were?
I think a lot of the challenges for me, just getting this beef thing on its feet, was before the school came along, right? There's like storage issues, and the school takes a lot of my ground beef and my roasts, and that's two of kind of the harder things to move on a retail side. So when they came along, it really kind of streamlined things for me a little bit more. So I was really fortunate on that side.
Callie, what would you say were maybe some of the initial challenges with either getting local beef in or just local food in general?
I think just researching was probably the biggest challenge. Just looking around, making sure everyone's at the standards, and really the procurement process is probably the hardest. Unfortunately, we always have Stegalls win bid, and they're so easy to work with. Another challenge on my end would just be the budgeting for the year, how much students are going to be eating. I have my menu set, but it seems like every year there's a difference in what the students like. So just forecasting ahead of time and seeing what we're going to be using.
So if there are, we touched on it a little bit, but if maybe we could summarize it a little more. If there are other ranchers out there who are very interested in supplying beef to a school, What do you really think they need to consider to make sure that this is going to be a good opportunity for them as the rancher as well as for the school?
Well, for my ends, I think it would be the communication and transparency. And again, the Steels are very easy to work with. Great communication back and forth with deliveries, reliable. We know what we're getting from them. So I think that is the biggest thing, just having everything set in stone ahead of time, a schedule and follow through. On school's ends, having the follow through and knowing that they're going to be there when they say they're there is a big key.
On my side, I mean, like I said before, it's just I'm not sure every school does the local food for schools program. So that's really important because I probably wouldn't be able to compete price wise with, the big packers and stuff like that. So them getting that extra funding probably affords them to be able to buy my beef at probably a little higher price than what they could. So that would probably be a big part of it.
Yeah, going off of that with the pricing, it may be a little bit more, but also maybe finding that district that wants that quality local product, because not every school district wants that, and it's a little bit unfortunate to not want to spend a little bit more on this kids getting something local and great quality.
I'm someone who supports beef of all kinds, whether you're buying local, whether you're buying from the store. And it's been a long time since I've had a school lunch, but I remember what those hamburgers looked like. And it was not something I usually wanted, which I feel a little ashamed to say as a beef producer, but with what I was used to, it was quite different. So I think that's awesome that this opportunity is there.
Yeah, we hand press our burgers at our high school. Our other sites were in such large quantities, so that could always be a challenge, is the higher qualities and time to be able to hand press them. But we do use the raw ground beef for our high school with the hand pressing the burgers, and the students love it and appreciate it.
Yeah. So Todd, I'm curious on the finishing side. Have you changed anything are you finishing cattle out at different time points throughout the year to kind of meet that school calendar, or since this product is, maybe being frozen, does it not matter? I mean, what does that look like for you on the finishing side to meet this demand, or maybe it wasn't different depending on what you already had going for direct to consumer sales?
We definitely ramped it up a little bit. I try to keep spots every month on the calendar with my processor, and he's pretty good, flexible with I put 2 a month on the schedule, but if I have 5 or if I have 3 or whatever, he's pretty good about letting me bring what I need in there. So that part's pretty easy. Kind of know at this point what the school needs. So I just kind of have a consistent monthly number that I take into the processor. And like I said, I can add or subtract if I need to. So it works out.
And how long had you been selling direct to consumer before you started this relationship? I'm just always curious because I feel like it's been common for a while, selling those quarters, halves, and wholes, but you just hear more and more people talking about it. So how long have you been doing that, and what role does that play in the bigger picture of your operation?
The halves and wholes we've been doing, since I was in high school for 20 years or so now. The USDA thing, I think, is probably about 6 or 7 years ago now we started doing that. And then this will be our third school year with the school beef thing. So just kind of taking it gradually.
Okay. Well, are there any other parts of this story or process that either of you think are important to highlight to those who are listening to this podcast?
I know when we first started, Madison Martin had reached out. She's with the county, and she had noticed that there was this grant coming through. And I had seen it on my end, but she also reached out to me, and I believe also with Taylor, Todd's wife, and let them know that there was this, not a grant, but this funding coming through. And so she took the initiative to connect the dots as well. So I think having our county and having people like that involved.
All right. Okay, so I really appreciate you guys sharing your story and talking about the relationship between the ranch and the school and all of that. I think that's very helpful and maybe inspiring to a lot of the listeners out there. So to wrap up, moving into a fun final question, Todd, if you could go back to your first 5 years of ranching, what would you do differently?
I kind of have a hard time defining what my first 5 years of ranching was, but one thing I wish I would have done when I was younger, kind of like college age or just out of college, was go work other places, kind of see how other people do things and build my network a little bit. I did a little bit. I had an internship at a pretty big seed stock operator in Colorado, but I wish I would probably would have done a little bit more of that before I came back home and did the ranch thing. So that was one thing. And then like on the cow side of things, I think probably being a little more selective with my genetics, seeing a little bit more on the cow side of things. The cow families kind of focus more on that factory side of things, and you can always plug in a AI or bull or big EPD bull whenever you want. But I think focusing on that cow side of thing, I probably should have done that more when I was younger. So.
All right. And Callie, if you could go back to your first 5 years of your career, what would you do differently?
I honestly probably would have started this a lot sooner, making those connections with more locals and other product as well. Yeah, I was always afraid of it, of having to look at the guidelines and following the standards and everything that the federal and the states have us follow. Always seems a little bit intimidating, but it's really not. So I think just having more courage and just going out there and doing it.
What about you, Shaye?
What about me? Oh, that's tricky. I haven't even been out of college. Well, have I been out of college? No, it hasn't been 5 years yet. But yeah, I mean, Todd, like you, I don't know. It's hard to say what were my first 5 years of ranching because I grew up with it. I'm still involved in my parents' place. My husband and I have cows too. So, I would say maybe just spending a little more time early on in high school, and even I mean I did it maybe a little better in high school because I was around more often, but when I got to college I got a little more removed from which bulls were mom and dad investing in, those genetic decisions. So I got kind of removed from that for a while, so I wish I would have just made more time to call dad and talk through some of that stuff during that stage, even though I was 9 hours away. But yeah, that's probably and that's probably still the area that I need to work on still, is paying a little more attention to some of those bloodlines, etc. It's my favorite part is always checking the cows on green grass, taking mineral, that type of stuff. So sometimes I need to pay a little more attention to other areas. But
sorry to put you on the spot.
I appreciate that. Most guests don't ask me questions. I always like it when they do. All right. Well, for those of you who are out there listening today, remember that any resources that were mentioned throughout the show, there will be links in the show notes for you to get in touch, see those resources, sign up, whatever it was we talked about. And if you want to support this podcast and all your other favorite podcasts, remember to leave a rating and review, and better yet, share it with a friend who's going to find this information valuable to their own operation. But with that, happy ranching, folks.